What is climate anxiety? Now, it's probably no surprise that I want to talk about this because we've seen fires raging around the world, particularly in Europe, and particularly in the USA. And surprisingly, the UK has been struggling with wildfires through summer, which, as far as I'm aware, being 34 years old, this is the first time I've known of so many wildfires spread across the UK. And I think with all these fires, with a summer that has been one of the hottest on record, you know, there's been 5 heat waves this summer. There's a lot of discourse online around the climate and a lot of alarmism and doomism around the climate. And if you just have a quick scroll online, it won't take you far to get to a point or a post where you're told that we've got 10 years left, 15 years left, 20 years left. And no matter how you feel about the climate, it's hard to not be met with stories that stop you in your tracks and make you think, oh my God, is this true? How much of this do I believe? It starts to fill you up with worry and dread. And the more information you consume, the more posts you come across, the more Googling you start to do to find research or blog articles that back up what you've seen. Before you know it, you're in a doom spiral. And you're panicking and you're worried. And whenever you hear the term climate, it fills you with dread, it fills you with fear. And even before you know it again, you just think, what's the point? The world's going to hell. No one's doing anything about it. And you just worry all the time. And I think particularly with the topic of climate, because it's so omnipotent, it's around the world, and it's something that is so big that you as an individual can't change. It's so easy to leave yourself in a position where you just want to curl up in a ball and hide, and you want other people to deal with it, or you just think there's no hope and you just spend your days just thinking, what's the point? And there's a huge void that doesn't get filled internally because the joy is gone, the hope is gone. Now, I only speak on this because I have, and still do now and again, struggle with climate anxiety. And there has been times, particularly in the summer of 2021 during lockdown, where I just got to a point where I was just disassociating. I remember distinctly sitting on a chair in the kitchen and feeling like 5 minutes had went by, but in reality it was like half an hour, and I was just completely zoned out because my brain had just taken me to a place that was safer, which was kind of just put me on autopilot, and I was just staring into existence. And it's so strange to get to that point that your brain recognizes that your nervous system is in such turmoil, that you are worrying so much, that you are so anxious, that it just takes you to a place that clouds your judgment of reality, and time becomes indistinguishable. And it's at those points you start to think, right, what am I doing? How do I deal with this? Because it's not nice to live day to day worrying, to go out in nature like I am now and to just feel dread that someday this will be gone, that in 10, 15, 20, 30, however long you feel we've got left, that at some point this will all be gone. Now, I've worked through all these emotions, and yes, like I said, I still do worry. I still have my panic moments, but I do now live with a lot more hope and optimism than I used to, even though we live in a world that as each year goes by, we are told that we have less time left or that things are getting worse. And whether you believe that or not, this isn't about unpicking science facts from science fiction, because I am not a climate scientist. What this is about is recognizing that even through moments of turmoil and distress and heightened anxiety around the world, you can still, and you are still allowed to wake up and feel joy. You are still allowed to feel optimistic. And why wouldn't you want to do that if you can do that for yourself? Because let's just assume that the world is going to hell in a handcart. Why wouldn't you want to live the rest of your life just being able to be happy and joyful? So how do we deal with climate anxiety when it comes our way? And for me, I deal with it by taking a step back from social media, taking a step back from the news, and starting to surround myself with things that fill up my cup, or interacting with things that allow me to recognise the good in the world, the people who are on the front lines, nurturing positive communities that are doing good things for the planet. You know, recently we've had a huge nurdle spill around the northeast coastline, which has left tons of plastic pellets in the river that we reside next to. And it's easy to watch that and just think, here's another thing that is causing destruction to our planet. But also, when you go out there and look for the people that are doing good, the huge outpour of communities who are out on the beaches, doing their small part, collecting pellets, sieving through sand. You know, you have to allow yourself to be around those communities, to be around those people, to realise that the world isn't completely doomed, no matter how many times you get told it is. People do still care, even though you feel like people don't. There are billions of people who want to do what's right for the planet. And it's only a small percent of people who have control over what we do that are dragging their feet. The billionaires, governments, who are led by money, not by sense, not by empathy, not by emotion, led by money and greed, who are doing this. Now, it's hard to boot them out and to get somebody in who's going to represent us, the people who care. However, in the meantime, while change does take time, like I've always told myself and I've always been told, bad things happened instantly, good things take time. And you know, that is true in life. And while we're waiting for positive change, no matter how long that may take, you've got to surround yourself with the good, because there is plenty of it. Take yourself out of the social sphere, go out and meet people and communities, start to fill up your cup again. Go out and dance, go out and have a walk in nature. Remind yourself of how beautiful the world actually is. I know there's bad things going on around the world, I know there is environmental destruction, but go out, listen to the birds, see the insects flying around. Remind yourself that I don't want this to go away, I don't want this to be ruined. And I think within that as well, it's important to recognise that the more you do that, the more that message spreads, because the more you recognise the power of nature and this being out in the woods, the more you rub off on other people, and the more they rub off on other people, and the more we all start to realise that actually, I want to fight for this. I don't want this to go away. I don't want anything to worsen. And I think often in situations like that, you don't necessarily understand the ripple effects of your own actions. And this is what people say when they say, you know, join communities, do the best you can in the small corner of the world that you call home. Feet on the ground, small initiatives that aren't making a huge difference, but are just spreading small ripples locally and creating that ripple effect of change that will grow and grow and grow and grow. And yes, like I've said, good things take time, but they will happen, and they are happening. And another piece of great advice that I've been given about climate anxiety is by using an analogy called, I think, the fire alarm system. So you imagine you're in a house, it's on fire, the fire alarm starts ringing. You need to get out because your house is on fire and you're in danger. Now, you put that same scenario and imagine that in relation to you and your climate anxiety. And whenever you hear a news story in the background, or a conversation, or you come across a blog article that is alarmist, very negative, and it brings a lot of anxiety into your body, and you instinctively go, right, I need to get away from this, I need to shut it down because I'm in danger. You teach your body to associate any whiff of climate chatter with your house is on fire and you need to get away, and that only exacerbates your anxiety and your worry, because you're teaching your body that the slightest conversation around climate is going to cause you to close down and go to fight or flight. Now, even though you may feel that way, and you are right to feel that way, you don't need to allow yourself to be overcome by this emotion. And it does take time to sit with those feelings and to recognise that, okay, yes, I've read an article which I maybe wish I didn't read, or I've seen a post that I wish I didn't see, or I've heard something that has rattled me and it's made me fearful and frightened. It's still okay to feel those things, but you don't need to treat your body as though there is a fire around you and you need to get out. You just need to sit with that, because it is okay to sit with those feelings. It is okay to be met with fear and doom, and to still be able to sit there and go, right, that has worried me, but it doesn't have to break me. And it did me. You know, like I mentioned before, I've disassociated for half an hour at times as a way to protect myself, because I've just felt so down and felt like there was no hope, that my brains just took me to a place that was safer. But we don't need to go there all the time. We're allowed to sit with fear, anxiety and worry and still feel okay. And also, weirdly, you're allowed to sit with fear, anxiety and still feel hope and optimism, because there is a lot of hope and optimism out there. Like we've mentioned, there's a lot of people from a grassroots perspective who are creating small pockets of change that have huge ripple effects as time goes on. The more people get involved, the more we wake up and go, right, I want to protect this, I want to protect nature. Let's be a part of these communities. Let's collect nurdles on the beach. Let's get an allotment and start to learn how to grow fruit. Let's go bird watching. You know, let's start to be in awe of nature again and what it does for us, because I don't want to lose this. I love going out for a walk and within 5 minutes feeling a lot calmer, because I can hear the birds singing, I can see insects, I can see plants growing, I can see fruit, vegetables, you know, just the earth just providing for us. And just by doing something as simple as going for a walk makes you realise that I do not want this to go away, and I want to be a part of this a lot more. I want it to be protected. I want it to be looked after. So, you know what? Take that anxiety, take that fear, take that worry and go outside and get off your butt and remind yourself that there is so much to fight for. There is so much to be hopeful for. There is so much to save that you want to save, because it is beautiful out here. So we need to kind of ask ourselves now, you know, what do we do from here? Because outside of being met with climate science that says we might have 10, 15, 20, 30, 35 years, however long, and whatever you believe, whether or not things are majority man-made or natural, forget all of that. Because fundamentally, we are at a time in our lives where we are all starting to recognise the power of nature, what nature can provide for us. We have seen the loss of woodlands, nature reserves. We've seen the loss of wildlife. Insects are less. I remember there being so many more insects when I was younger compared to now. And I come outside and listen to bird song, and I kind of think, you know, that does so much for me, just being able to come out here and drink all this in and to calm my worries and anxieties. Why would I want this to disappear? And regardless of what we think or feel about climate science and what we're being told, I think fundamentally we should just kind of ask ourselves, well, why wouldn't we want what's best for nature? Why wouldn't we want nature to thrive? Because it does so much for us for free. So I just think we need to realise that we are so far removed from the world and what nature provides us that we need to claw tooth and nail to come back to nature and recognise that this is a place that I call home, not the four walls that I live in, but out here, outdoors. This is a place that gives me so much freedom, so much time to calm my nervous system, so much joy when I go away on holiday and spend time outdoors with my friends and family, swimming in the sea, swimming in pools. That is nature providing for us. So let's protect it at all costs, because it looks after you no matter what we do to it. So let's start looking after nature, please. And let's just bring the hope back, because there is still so much hope out there, alongside so much doubt and doom. But two things can be correct at the same time. We can live in a sphere where we're told things aren't going well, that we're killing the planet, but also we are still allowed to feel hopeful and optimistic and full of vigour to make change. And yes, I say that as a person who struggles with climate anxiety from time to time and doubt still sets in. But take yourself out of social media, connect with friends, family, community and nature, and the hope will always come back. Optimism will always come back. Your smile, your calm nervous system will always come back. So let's protect nature, because that's what it does for us.